And maybe he needs another little arm out here, so we'll just give him one. This is your creation. You can do anything here that you want to do. Just let it happen. There. Now. And we'll give him some little leaves. And we'll use some more of the alizarin crimson. Touch of Prussian blue. Okay. We need dark in order to show light. So first we'll put some dark on here. We'll put some happy little leaves here and there. When we see you next week, I hope you have your almighty easel set up, the colors ready, your big brushes all primed and ready to go, and do an almighty painting with us here. Very quickly, while I'm finishing this up, I'll go over the colors one more time that we use. Titanium white, phthalo green, Prussian blue, Van Dyke brown, cad yellow, and permanent red. Only 8 colors that you need. Okay, now let's put some highlights on this pretty little tree right here. I use just a little touch more of the permanent red in this one so he'll stand out a little more. See how easy it is to create a tree right here in your world? There we go. And maybe down here. Maybe there's some nice little bushes and stuff happening right in here. There we go.
Loaded some Van Dyke brown on my knife and just kind of throwing it right on there. I just sort of get an idea of the shape and then go back and fill it in. You want to make sure that it's getting progressively larger towards the bottom. You don't want a big bump in there or anything that's going to make your tree look strange. Let's see. We'll put another one right beside this one too. Maybe he has a little curve. They say trees are like people, and I believe that because every tree has a certain curve or bend in it. Just like every person, you know, have a curve and bend in them sometimes. Just depends. This one right here, we'll put in just a little bit heavier because we're going to need more white to pick up on the side of that to get a brighter highlight. And all of a sudden, he's a little bigger too. That's a nice thing about this. If you make something a little bit too big, it's no problem. It's really very tough to make a mistake. A little bit of titanium white on there. Hills, just by darkening up that same color with a little bit more blue and brown. And you want to change the shape of these foothills a little bit. Make them a little bit closer to the ground, a little bit lower, you know, not as steep. So basically all you're doing is just throwing in the shape and coming back and picking it to death after that to get it to look right. And once again, blending down at the bottom, or misting I should call it. Don't be afraid to use these big brushes. As a matter of fact, sometimes they come in more handy than the small ones, even in small areas.
Okay, let's go right up here. And notice he starts with just a center line, and then just using the corner of the brush, just sort of work back and forth. There. And that's basically how we make a tree. Now you can add a little more to it, you can take away from it. This is your tree, so you have to make almighty decisions. And you know, Steve, why don't we put another one right beside him? Trees get lonely too. We got to give him a little friend there. Make this one a little bit...
Maybe a leaning one.
All right. There. Maybe when that tree was just a little baby, somebody stepped on him while he was down there fishing for that big trout, and he's got a little crook in his back. There. Very nice, Steve. Okay. Let's go right on in here. An inch brush. It would also work with a 1-inch brush. And we just drop in some basic shapes here. Okay. Steve, while you got all that on your brush, why don't you throw some color in the water and we'll show them how to make reflections too.
All right.
There. And all we've done is just drop the same basic shape right into the water. Good. What color did you use on that?
Just lay us some shadows right in here. Okay, and each little highlight needs its own private shadow. Maybe we'll add another little peak here. This is your mountain, so you can add what you want to on it. Okay. Now let's diffuse the bottom of it. And here we're just gently tapping. Don't want to destroy, just diffuse. And then we'll pull just to take out the little tap marks. Okay, now we'll lay some clouds on top of the mountain. And I've added a little bit of magic white with my paint just to make it a little bit thinner. As you remember our golden rule here, a thin paint will stick to a thick paint. So maybe we'll have a little cloud here that just floats right across the mountain. Okay. Maybe right up here there's one too. Seems like I remember one up here. Okay. Now very carefully we'll blend this in. Super light touch here. Okay, let's take and let's work on this peak now. Just let him travel down and just come right down in the foreground here. Okay, give him a few little shadows.
Paint thinner. I want to thin it down. Thin some brown down. Very, very thin, very thin. A lot of paint thinner. Let's put a little arm or two. Maybe this old tree don't have any leaves. Maybe he's already retired for the year. We'll just put him a few little arms up here. There we go. Now maybe in yours you'd like to have leaves on the tree. You can do that. There are no rules here that say what you can or can't paint. You paint whatever you want. There we are. And that quickly. We have the entire thing covered with a very thin, even coat of the liquid clear. Okay. I'm just using long horizontal and vertical strokes to assure that it's distributed across the canvas evenly. Now, if you're in doubt and you think possibly that you may have too much of the liquid clear, I would take a paper towel and wipe it. What's left will be just right. Now then, Let me show you how easy this is to. I'm going to go right into a small amount of phthalo blue. Phthalo blue. Very little paints are required for this painting. Very, very little. You can always add more. Let's go up here. Start at the top. And all we're doing in reality is putting a glaze right over the top of our gesso. Isn't that fantastic? This makes some of the most gorgeous little paintings.